Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Harvest Moon. In the last episode, we got pretty far. We also... Whew. For a second there, I thought we were going to be dead to a storm. I want to say it's the 9th warrior guarantee. Oh my god, there's not enough materials. Hey, listen to me very carefully. We don't want to do half-finished work. We can't start without enough materials. Let's see what you need on that sign there. Getting them the first thing to do. Bye! Okay, no need to be that dramatic. Well, I guess we can only find out how much we gotta pay as soon as we get the material for it. I don't know why it just doesn't tell you right off the bat. It's kind of weird. Alright, so now it's Tuesday. 7 o'clock. Alright. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun dun dun. Dun 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 dun. Hey, fish, it would be great if you, bought the line. Hit the line, rather. Come on. Fish. You still mad at me, fish? Nah, of course not. Fish is my best friend. Helps pay down my home loan. Alright. That, we're good. I'm not too concerned about the chicken eggs at the moment. I'm gonna worry about the chicken eggs when we actually start getting a lot of eggs. But right now, we just have, like, one chicken, so I'm gonna be focusing the eggs on just making more chickens. Because really, you only need to buy one chicken to make an arsenal of chickens. Da, 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 da. Da, na, 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 na. Da, na, 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 na. Da. Okay, well, might as well sell the chicken egg before the guy shows up. I got home earlier than I thought. Okay. Let's see, what do I want to get in here? Oh yeah, the axe. It's gonna be so great when these are done. So I really hope that I watered these yesterday. I don't actually remember if I watered the top ones. Well, I guess we'll find out in 2 to 3 business days. I should always water these ones up here first because I could forget about it. Hence, I already have forgotten about it. That's the one thing about having so many of these crops. And so little stamina. I wonder if there's anybody who also believes, like me, that cooking really shouldn't be a part of Harvest Moon in the sense that when it got added, it was a very cool system and it's very unique. But it also adds a lot of stuff to it in the sense of, like, things that could have been fixed gameplay-wise in some Harvest Moon type games didn't get fixed because they wanted to go with more of a cooking aspect. And there is one game which is the game that I don't recommend the most. It is the game called Tale of Two Towns, and it is a Harvest Moon title. I think that the art in that game is very pretty, but it's annoying, and the game is awful. The gameplay in that game is terrible. Unlike the other games that I've already recommended in the Harvest Moon series, it is the complete opposite. It is horrific. It wasn't well thought out. Essentially, you can have either ranching or farming, which chances are you're gonna go for farming because ranching has already been proven to me to be not as great as anything else in a farming game. So like only farming really matters, but ranching is kind of like secondary. But for like this in particular, this game we're playing right now is the only farming game I've ever seen where the stuff is balanced. You can only farm for 2 months out of the year, and the rest is based on ranching and fishing and foraging. That's how you make the rest of your money. So you make as much money as you possibly can, and then you make the most of what you can in the later seasons. Or the later, parts of the game. Like, every part of the game has a purpose, and you can still do parts of the game afterwards. But ones like Tale of Two Towns and such, where you can grow things all the time, it really doesn't help for ranching, especially since the prices of ranching are so low. It just isn't worth doing. However, that game makes it to where you have to basically befriend and marry a person's family. Like, there's always been a marriageable aspect to the games, and it annoys me because I feel like even Stardew Valley does it wrong. It like they do help, but it's occasional, and they mostly focus on their own crap. But Animal Parade is the only Harvest Moon type game where the best benefit of that is you can summon your entire family to help you at anything. Period. Like, they'll do anything. And it's great for you to help you take the edge off of having to do everything on your own. And it really gives a benefit to having that system in the first place. But like in Tale of Two Towns, not only do you not get to be helped, but the situation around even getting to that state of the game in the first place is atrocious. I mean, if that game ended in a year, you would not be able to like, if the game ended in a year just like this game does, if you don't get married, that game would be impossible to beat. Because frankly, the concept of having to basically marry the entire family, because you have to get the heart rate up to 65,000, just like the person you're trying to woo in the game. And it's very tedious, time-consuming, and annoying because, say, like, you wanted to be a part of the farming town, but you wanted to marry someone in the ranching town, or you wanted to vice versa, you'd have to get more friendship points and whatever from going across a giant mountain. Yeah. And also, them trying to make things more difficult by adding a request system in the sense is annoying. Very annoying. Because there's a request board system in that game that you have to do, like, you have to wait until the request shows up, which can run out and can time out to get all of your weapons upgraded, your tools, your house, even. And because that system isn't really something that people really talk about in any Harvest Moon type game, it's not something that people usually do. I've always ignored it. I've seen other people who have ignored it. And it just seems like a common thing to ignore that system of the game because it's kind of out there and it's not really helpful. It's just annoying, time-consuming, requires too many materials. Like, just tell me what I need to do. Don't give me a time limit, don't give me a whatever in a Harvest Moon game that's sandbox, okay? Like, just don't. It's not gonna mesh well. Like, as soon as you start putting time limits in a sandbox game built around farming and upgrading your materials slowly over time or fast, depending on how you're playing, like, there's just a lot of things that don't mesh well as a result because it is a sandbox game. And I think some games just, they, again, when I was saying before earlier in this, because I want to, like, fully flesh out this argument I'm having at the moment, is that when it comes to sandbox games, you run into some issues. You run into issues with story, you run into issues with mechanics, story, and gameplay. And unless you're constantly updating them, sandbox games can get really tiresome. But here's the thing. When you're running a sandbox game that's supposed to be meant to do certain things and you put time limits in it, it doesn't really mesh well with the system of it being sandbox, especially if, like, it's too soon for the player to really do anything about certain things, to get things, and the things aren't very explained well. It's just a mess, because I think Tale of Two Towns, by far, if out of all the Harvest Moons that I have played, seen, whatever, I do not recommend that game the most. And there are some games that, like DS Cute and more Friends of Mineral Town, that I personally don't really like, that I will say, play those games before you play Tale of Two Towns, because at least those games, they have substance to an extent, but they're not as frustrating as that game is. So for the sake of your peace of mind, if you're looking into getting into Harvest Moon games, I highly suggest starting with this one to get to the use of the feel of it. And I do not suggest any of the DS ones. I suggest, honestly, if you're going to play a game in the Harvest Moon series that is not a DS game, because do not play them, I would suggest their Wii ones, like the Tale of Two Towns. As an example would be Tree of Tranquility and Animal Parade for that. Ah, they're flowering! They're all flowering at the same time, which means I watered them. Hooray! Just gonna do a hamper dance before we go fishing. And now it'll be 2 to 3 days before they're harvestable. But yeah, like, I do not suggest the 2D as much, because other than this game, the gameplay mechanics kind of drop into the toilet for the sake of attempting to be difficult so that the game lasts longer. But yeah, I think rant is over now. It's just I want people to be aware that there are really good Harvest Moon games out there, and it is the progenitor of some stuff like Stardew Valley. But at the same time, being aware that just because it's, Harvest Moon, Harvest Moon is great, it's just, it's got quite a few stains on it from previous games that just were pretty bad. And just saying, I do know of games that, like My Time at Portia. I played My Time at Portia. What I will say about My Time at Portia is I think there's too much time in it. Like, there really is just too much time in it to a year. You'll probably be playing, I don't know, you'd be playing that game for a very long time before you'd see winter. You'd probably be playing the game for a year yourself before you'd see winter. And that's just not good. Like, I think there's 12 months to a year in My Time at Portia, which ain't great. Dun, dun, na, 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 dun, dun. Is that all you're shipping today? It costs 600 gold total. I'll put the money in the box tomorrow. Wednesday. I'm going to have to stop recording here and get my laptop charger because I am running out of battery. I can kind of see the quality drop in my OBS already as a result. Oops. So I hope you guys are liking the series so far, and I hope you can see just what you can really do in the time span you're allotted to be as efficient as possible so your game will be great. Like, this is the one Harvest Moon game that I really, really know, aside from my Animal Parade. So... And again, just, adding to the topic where, games have too long a time, like, again, 12 months to a year and 3 months in a season. From what I remember of My Time at Portia, just, it's too much time. Like, I think the 1 month per season is unrealistic as crap and kind of annoying. But it does work in the sense that it gives players a change of pace in a way that is very necessary. And I only found that out as an idea because I was on the voting committee of, well, you need more time in each season so that it's a little bit more realistic, is when I actually played My Time at Portia and realized, wait a minute, I have to play through this much before I can actually get to the season. And while My Time at Portia, to me, has a lot of potential, my opinion on that game is as follows. It's unfinished. Even though it says it's finished, it's unfinished. And you can kind of really tell when you're playing the game. The game itself does not expect you to be playing the game longer than 14 days. You can tell because things start to get, instead of being fun, they turn monotonous at the 7-day mark. Like, the characters are pretty annoying. Like, it's just not great. The only thing I can say that I really did like about My Time at Portia was, one, the graphics. I thought the graphics and style was pretty nice. But two, I thought the music was good. Like, really good. But I thought the environment was too large. There was too much time. And it felt like an overly scaled concept for something so minor. Like, and the one time I thought, hey, you can build a car. That's really awesome. I never thought there'd be a Harvest Moon game where you'd build a car. Turns out you cannot build a car. You can only build a car to sell a car. So you can't build a car to use it. Which, the fact that you can build so many things but not be able to use half of them and only can use half of them for their intended purpose in other things, but you can't use half of them in the sense that you can't use them for their functionality like a car. You can only sell it. And I'm like, at that point I was like, okay, this environment in this world is so large. It really needed something like a car. So they had that as an option, yet you have to use it to sell it. It's the only way you can use it. And I talked about this a lot in my previous games. Specifically, I think I talked about this in Chrono Trigger. I think I talked about this in Secret of Mana. Way back when at the start of this channel when I did Secret of Mana. And I talk about this a lot. Games with big environments